NFL Week 8. I'm going to be breaking down all the top plays for DraftKings for this weekend slate right here. And if you're looking for FanDuel, I also have a FanDuel video up on the YouTube channel. The only thing I ask you, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Really do appreciate it a whole bunch. And if you're interested in signing up for our NFL package at Stokastic.com, use the link below to sign up. It is going to include everything that you need to make money playing NFL DFS, from the ability to build lineups on our site to simulate those lineups, and then in addition, player projections, ownership projections, and so much more in terms of tools. But let's go ahead and look at the lineups that I've simulated out for the main slate on DK. First thing I'm going to do here is favorite the top 150 lineups. And the number one overall projected lineup that I have here for Sunday is a Cowboys double stack. Dak Prescott at quarterback, the running backs, Pacheco and Bijan Robinson. Pass catchers, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Kendrick Bourne, TJ Hockenson at tight end, and then Jake Ferguson also at tight end in the flex spot there. And then that is accompanied there by the Vikings defense. So Bijan Robinson, we'll talk a little bit more about him here. He had a really weird situation last week, played less than 10 snaps. He was dealing with a headache. The Falcons seemed to be in some trouble for not putting him on the injury report, but we will see what that means for how we feel about him this weekend. We'll head on over to the exposures, and I'll go position by position to see what it is that I'm getting the most of at each spot, starting with the quarterbacks. So QB exposure, two QBs that I'm getting to north of 20% of, Dak Prescott and Sam Darnold. So the Sam Darnold one is very much iffy because it's dependent, obviously, on the status of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy in concussion protocol, did practice each of the last 2 days at the time I'm recording this, but in general this year, if somebody's been in concussion protocol, it's been an uphill climb to make it into the lineup the next week. So we've seen a couple of players do it, but it's been far and few between. The far more likely outcome that we've seen is when somebody's put in concussion protocol, even if they return to practice, they end up missing at least one game. So with that in mind, we do have Sam Darnold projected to start a quarterback for the 49ers, which makes him a pretty good value option at the position. We've got Dak Prescott here. The Cowboys are near the top of our top stacks tool in terms of odds being the highest scoring team on the slate. Then we've also got Patrick Mahomes and Kenny Pickett, its other QBs, getting double-digit exposure to. Players coming in underweight to the field at the quarterback position. Nothing crazy, but underweight to Lamar Jackson, 5% when he's projected for 11% ownership, and coming in underweight as well to Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. See the running backs and what is showing up there. Most exposed running backs, Breece Hall. So Dalvin Cook appears to be on the outs with the Jets. That's shocking. He lost his starting gig here to Breece Hall once Breece Hall was healthy. And Dalvin Cook, even though it seemed like he had an agreement with the Jets that he was okay with being the backup, now that he's actually the backup, he is not very happy with it. So Dalvin Cook requesting a trade, considering he was a free agent and had basically no interest as a free agent. It's hard to imagine he's going to draw much trade interest. But either way, I don't expect him to play this weekend, or if he does play, not very much. So Breece Hall, he's back to being the workhorse for the Jets. I think it makes a ton of sense this weekend. Same with Alvin Kamara, where, well, not the same as Breece Hall, but a running back that I like getting to is Alvin Kamara, just because of involvement in the passing game. He's had 8 or more targets in all but one game that he started this year. That leads to massive PPR upside over on DK. And then also getting to Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Bijan Robinson, and Pacheco north of 20%. I don't expect there to be any workload concerns with Robinson. What happened last week? He was sick. It happens sometimes, wasn't feeling well, had a headache, wasn't up for playing very much. So he didn't. He had 1 carry for 3 yards. Not much happening for Bijan Robinson last week, but I expect him to be back to full this week, and he's only 6K on DK. Underweight at the running back position, we are underweight to DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, and Travis Etienne. Wide receivers that we want to be targeting this weekend. Wide receivers getting the most exposure to Kendrick Bourne. He's returned a couple of really good value performances in a row. We've seen a little bit of an uptick in his salary, but not enough. He's been somebody who's been really good for the Patriots, even if their offense otherwise has sucked. Tyreek Hill is a pay-up option. Can never have issue with that. Brandon Ayuk, he's somebody who stands out, even with Sam Darnold being at quarterback, because Deebo Samuel, he is not going to be playing this weekend, dealing with a shoulder injury. So without him, Brandon Ayuk looks better. Deontay Johnson, he is now back from a hamstring injury. He got a game under his belt last week and looked pretty good. He was a lot more involved than I thought, didn't really see any kind of restrictions, and his price still remains depressed a little bit. So Kenny Pickett and then CeeDee Lamb as well, who just correlates nicely with the Dak Prescott exposure at QB. I was going to move on, but let's look at underweight wide receivers. Underweight to Adam Thielen. He's had a monster year, but he's gotten to be really expensive. I mean, he's priced as if he's a stud wide receiver, which he has been to this point this year, but I have to expect some regression is coming. Also underweight to Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, Jordan Addison, and Jamar Chase. Let's go and check out the tight ends to wrap up DK. And at the tight end, we are getting the most of Jake Ferguson, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, Evan Ingram. A little bit more spread out here at the tight end spot. Some tight ends that are going to be correlating with quarterbacks or game stacks. So Jake Ferguson, he is going to pair nicely with all the Dak Prescott exposure we have. And Trey McBride, just somebody who looks like he's starting to break out for the Cardinals. He's starting to see an uptick in role as Zach Ertz has seen a little bit of a downtick here. So I like Trey McBride, Travis Kelce. He's Travis Kelce. If the salary is spent up for a tight end, Kelce's the answer every single time. And then TJ Hawkinson benefiting from the absence of Justin Jefferson. One of the reasons that we came in underweight to Jordan Addison is because we're overweight to TJ Hawkinson instead. So that is going to do it for DraftKings and the roundup of the DK slate. If you haven't done yet, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want FanDuel info, I've got that up on the YouTube channel as well. Good luck this weekend.